So yeah, so far, I mean, last week was a slow week, a green week, and then so far this week looks pretty slow as well. It's a short week too. It's already Wednesday. So coming into today, really not much at all that I like. On SPY and Qs, we're sitting nowhere near higher time frame key levels. So you can look for break and retest over the previous day high, but quality over quantity. And then, that will lower your win percentage a little bit just because now you're filtering more trades, right? Less is more off of higher time frame key levels only. So still waiting for this. This is the higher time frame setup here on SPY, right? We ended up breaking this, and then unfortunately, right, we gapped above on Friday, and then we gapped up yesterday, and actually opened it with a gap today. So that's three gaps in a row on the overall market. So this is still the higher time frame setup. Definitely to look for a break and retest, over the previous day high. But quality over quantity, that's not something that I really like. Qs, you can see is way stronger than the SPY. SPY's already back under the previous day high. So Qs, right, you just look for a pullback long over the previous day high, looking for a move higher. Like I said, not really something I like. You can see a push up in the pre-market high. If we fall under, we can just see this gap fill back to the downside here on Qs, but Qs is fairly strong. I mean, the overall market is still very, very strong. So really nothing there that I like. I just have the previous day high and previous day lows marked out for context. Tesla's the only one that I like, but I don't even know if we'll get this. We'll see. Off the weekly outlook, we know this is the big deal. If or when we can get over 454, we can see new highs on the year, and then we got a clear shot towards all-time highs. So don't know if we'll get that today, but you can see here Tesla even gapped up very big during the pre-market. So a lot of big moves happening here pre-market. This is a very large gap up. So I'm either looking for a pullback long off of 435 on Tesla or this break over 454. Not sure if we'll get that. You can see we're pretty much sitting dead smack in the middle of this range, sitting nowhere near a key level. I wouldn't take a trade, off the pre-market high to each their own. So we'll see what sets up. And then nothing on NVIDIA for me. NVIDIA is actually showing me relative weakness compared to the overall market, but I just don't have any higher time frame key levels and where it's at. It played out perfectly. We got that pop and fade off of 218 yesterday. So the trade already set up. The objective already played out. You could definitely look for that under the previous day low, looking for that move down, but pretty much nothing here for me on NVIDIA. So just looks like a slow start, at least for me on my end. Not really much that I like here pre-market. This is let's see. Today is the okay. Turn it off. I'm not taking that. Okay, so Q's pulled back here off this previous day high. We tested that. Got this previous day low here on NVIDIA. Yeah, crazy volatile open here on Tesla. I saw a flat top there at market open. Wanted to see. I'm sorry, at pre-market. Yeah, Q's gives up this previous day high. We could watch NVIDIA here on the break and retest under 212. I will look at today's expiration on NVIDIA. Yeah, that's why I'm really touching NVIDIA. Let's see. Today's expiration. That'd be the 212.50 puts. 212.50 puts. We'll see though. You can see Q's is trying to hold this previous day high. Like I said, not trading off of it. just context reference. Let's see if we can get a candle closure here on a video under this 212. We should retest here on 212 for NVIDIA. Like I spotted on the close watch coming into market open that I did spot relative weakness on NVIDIA compared to the market. So I do like that Qs is holding this previous day high. And you can see NVIDIA gave up that previous day low. Psychological whole number as well. So I'm watching a video here, 212.50 puts. Yeah, nothing for me here on Tesla. I was looking at this, but I don't like it. SPY's heavy. SPY's already back under the previous day high. Pretty much filled the gap actually. Qs is doing well defending this previous day high. There's some big wicks at the bottom of our candles on Q, so buyers are definitely trying to defend that. I'm watching that video here because if NVIDIA ends up, let's see, 250 puts. I don't like this candle to close. Let's see. And that is how you avoid fake outs. Like I said, I like that trade a little bit more if Qs gave up that previous day high. So you can see we just had a peak and fell. This is another good example. I'll use this as an example on why I don't really trade off the previous day high and lows. It's just not a higher time frame Q level. So it's funny that I just said, pre-market, you can look for the trade off of those, but it will drop your win percentage. And that's a great example why. Now, if you know to wait for the retest, right, you never would have taken a trade there, but just too much. See, now this will look solid on a reclaim entry under 212 if Qs gives up the previous day high. Not really intrigued by it. Tesla's definitely showing some relative strength. Not the best price action, so not really worth the risk. Ignored the 444. That was just something I noticed pre-market. I went to see if that had a clean reaction, which it is being respected. We are getting wicks off of that, but I don't like the price action on Tesla. I'd rather just wait. We need that higher time frame breakout, which is way at 454. So I don't even know if we'll get that. Yeah. The 4 from 4 is just a pre-market level. I noticed a flat top here. Definitely solid uh, on a breakout trade for that. That's probably a 30% trade on a zero. You got $1.50 move. So with the play here on Tesla's, right, you can see we just gapped up tremendously. Right, it's either a pullback long off of 435. We were looking for that today, but you can see we gapped up, or this break over 454. So it's just sitting dead smack in the middle. NVIDIA nowhere near Q level. It set up yesterday. That was the higher time frame objective trade. It turned 218 into resistance. Uh, 5 bar day here, really nothing going on there. So it's fairly slow. And then SPY and Qs actually look pretty weak now. So you can see Qs just fell back under the previous day high, which is probably going to fill that gap. Not the best price action here on Tesla, as you can see. So fairly just slow looking all around. SPY is way heavier than the Qs. Truth be told, the market needs a pullback. So if we can just spend the day heavy, I would like that. We've gapped up 3 days in a row. Like, we need that. I'm not saying we'll get that today, but market's just very extended. We need a pullback day. So that looks good. You can see Tesla's trash. Like I said, I found this pre-market. It's not a key level. NVIDIA just sitting at the previous day low. I just explained why I avoid trades off of that. The previous day high and lows, it'll lower your win percentage. And you will take more trades. So it just depends on how you want to go about it. But we avoided a good fake out here at open. So when you look across the board, it's really not much. Yeah, Tesla looks trash. Shit, Tesla can pick some juice. I doubt we can get to 454. I mean, even if we do, we're so extended. We already gapped up. Let's see, the previous day close was around 433. We opened around 440, pushed up into 445.50. So wick right on the dot. Let's see what Apple can do. Right, you can clearly see just a supply area sitting up here. And contracts are like super cheap. I will say Apple is showing relative strength compared to the overall market. I will say. Thing is, momentum is not there right now. I will look at today's expiration on Apple 310 calls. Strong supply area, so keep that in mind. I didn't know it's slow. I got Apple prepared. I was looking at Apple yesterday. I was like, all right, if we can break outside of this, this looks pretty decent. It's a solid supply area up here. That's 3 days in a row. We push up into like roughly this 311, 312 area, and sellers are definitely sitting up here right on the dot. So we'll see. It is holding up though compared to the market. It's holding up. Typical price action on Tesla. NVIDIA, I mean, this is the previous day low. It's really nothing there. And then Keys and SPY pulling back. Yeah, market's pulling back pretty heavy. So not really spotting like relative strength on Tesla. I mean, right now, keep in mind, it's just filling the gap, but this market's heavy too. So the game plan's like a pullback long off of 435, but if it's just pulling back with the market, that's really a trade I would have to skip there. So we'll see. Right now we're sitting at about 440 on Tesla. A lot of these ranges are holding fairly strong. Looking at Palantir here as well, you can see it bounce right off of 132. So it's holding this channel very, very well. That's a big wick off of that too. So I'm looking around for stuff. Just fairly slow. I do like that Apple's holding. I think if the market can find an intraday support and balance, then Apple can really take off. That's for sure. Next key level on NVIDIA is 207. Way down at 207. We got the pop and fade off of 218 yesterday. Higher time frame key level. Thesis is we move lower, sellers hold under that, so we could definitely see a pullback down. So yesterday was what? Yeah, 218 on the dot. Right now we're sitting at 210.50. Really a higher time frame move. Yeah, we know how Apple moves. So if Apple gets up there and the momentum's not there, I'm not taking that. Because I would want that. If the market's just doing this, I can't take that. There's you can see it's everything is in sync right now. Everything's pulling back. So I'm not going to take a pullback long when it's in sync with the market, pulling back very aggressively. Now, if the market can find its support intraday and show me a sign of a V-shaped recovery, then I like this pullback long off of Tesla, off this 435. Yeah, so far this week I've noticed like SPY and Qs have not really been in sync. SPY is actually trying to find some support. Qs is just pulling back pretty aggressively. You can see here SPY trying to find support, and then Qs is just continuing to make new lows. So they're just not really in sync. So really we need, I mean, it's some ways away, but really need Qs to pull all the way back down to 722. Sucks. Mhm. These are some big candles to the downside, like big candles. Like every time it tries to pop up, sellers just say no. Yeah, so like I said yesterday, I mean, not the best price action, but we see it, right? It's a very slow getting its way up there. Um, so I really want this, but I can't take that. The market's just pulling back and Tesla's pulling back with it. Unfortunately, I'd like this super large gap pre-market, and this looks good, right? Resistance, I just want to see a turn into support. That looks really, really good. Even after hours perspective, very well here. So this pullback long is valid, but market context. Now, if Qs can some way somehow get back above the previous day high, and then Tesla retest this, now we're in the game. We know the routine here. Normally that morning squeeze to the downside, we get the V-shaped recovery. Market's still very bullish on the higher time frame. So we'll see. But you see how they're in sync? Look at Q's finding some support bouncing, and then Nvidia and Tesla's doing the same. Okay, we'll see. You can see here on the 15 minutes buying Q's, definitely trying to find some intraday support and get a bounce. Like I said, Q's is definitely stronger than the SPY. Definitely stronger. So, so we'll see if Apple can get over this. I doubt it. It's a very strong supply area up here. Roughly, it's kind of just what Apple's doing right now. Yeah, it's a big bounce here. Low day is 726. Yeah, if we get back over the previous day high, that's it's kind of crazy, but it's a big bounce here. Keep in mind, we could just retest it as well. We'll see. It did hold its support. You got the breakout. Do we do that or do we get the reclaim? So, right, Tesla's just in sync with Q's. Sucks. It's been like 3 days. All the moves have happened, pre-market. What a bounce here on Q's. Yeah, it's a lot of wicks up here as well on Amazon. You can see a strong supply area. As I said, these are like my favorite setups. The downside is just takes a while. Like I love seeing these reactions at a key level before it sets up. That's why I gave the lesson on like breakouts. You can do either or, right? You just got to keep a very tight stop. Because sometimes you get the blow off top, you don't get a retest. So that's the downside as well, right? Is you wait for a setup that's been stuck in a consolidation period, and your thesis is correct, but you get the breakout and you don't get the retest. So that's kind of why I want to show you guys how to focus on breakouts. So let's see here. Yeah, inside bar day here on Amazon, stuck in this range. Yeah, get over 270, you got clear shot. Yeah, I'm not too intrigued here on Palantir. I'm watching it to my left-hand side, but I just don't like these wicks down here. That's an intraday double bottom, so buyers are definitely defending this fairly well. Don't want to get caught in a fake out. It's still in a range on the weekly. Yeah, still need to get more of those here. Yeah, every pop is getting shorted. We'll see. Okay, let's see what Apple wants to do. Yeah, we'll look at the 310 calls on Apple, today's expiration. Need a proper breakout here or replacement candle. Let's see, what was that? 25-cent breakout. I am focused on Apple. This thing is definitely showing me relative strength compared to everything. You just have to understand, like I just showed you on the 15, it's a very strong supply area. So we need a proper displacement candle. Don't want to be caught in a sweep. That's a strong momentum push up in a 312 though. I'm looking at the 310 calls. It's at the money. Okay, good. Just need a little bit more displacement, just a little bit. We got a 34-cent breakout. That's how you avoid fake outs. People look for the instant break and retests and they blame the system. You got to be able to zoom out, understand a very strong supply area. I know sellers are sitting here. I need a very strong displacement candle over my key level to know that buyers are showing here, or I just see it as a liquidity sweep. Right now, that's kind of what it's looking like. It is relatively strong against the market. There's no denying that, but we got to get over this 312. Technically, you've only had a 34-cent breakout. Supply area for a reason. It's got to be patient. Before last week, we were able to step on the gas. Everything is just like I said, everything is just either in a range or at all-time highs. That's just what it is right now. Everything is in a range or at all-time highs. There's no more higher time frame key levels on SPY and Qs. NVIDIA did set up beautifully yesterday, popping fade off at 218. That was a higher time frame objective play, and you can see that working out very well. And then Tesla is actually Tesla's been a little tough lately. Tesla's been a little tough. I mean, if you look at the price action right now on Tesla, it's really not that good. So we'll see what happens here on Qs. This is very important. We could definitely see on the intraday, right? There's sellers sitting here. It's the lower day. You have that bounce. So it's like either we get that break of structure, right, or we reject that. So around this 730 area is important. You want to see like a break of structure here. You can see the same thing setting up here on Tesla. Yeah. So what do you notice here about Tesla and Qs? Look how in sync they are. They're pretty much identical twins. Look at that. Context matters, right? That's how Noah, I go over with you where he was asking, how do I, spot the difference or know when to take a trade or skip it? It's this, right? If you see, QQQ and SPY falling and Tesla's falling with the overall market, I know I'm not going to take this pullback long. That just doesn't make sense. Doesn't that I'm not seeing any strong buyers. But let's say, for an example, let's say, what's a good example? Let's say Q's got back above the previous day high. Now I know buyers are in control, and then we pull back and retest this. Now I'm more open to taking a long here. Dang, everything's breaking right now. I hope that example makes sense. I'm still watching Apple. Like you these candles, see these candles, though that's the candles I want to see on a breakout, right? And especially if I'm looking at a zero DTE, I need some momentum on my side. I can't take this. And then Apple sucks pretty much on the underlying, so I really don't care to play like a Friday's expiration. Yeah, strong area, strong supply area up here on Amazon. Use those higher time frame, guys. Right? When you're so focused on the 1 minute, it screws you over a little bit. Got to be able to zoom out here. So a lot of lessons here, even if you don't take a trade, a lot of lessons here. Market just doesn't look too hot right now. There are things setting up. Let's see what Amazon does. Amazon's showing me relative strength compared to the overall market. Very strong open, as you can see. I like this momentum here. Let's see, Amazon. Oh, these prices look good too. All right, cool. I'm cool with that. Yeah, Amazon looks good. All right. Sometimes this name sucks on the underline, but yeah, spreads look good. Delta's good. All right, cool. Most volume right now is the 270 calls on Amazon. 270 calls. I got the most volume. Contracts are roughly $1.26. Very, very tight spreads. Delta is sitting at 50. So let's even get a proper breakout here. Like I just showed you on the higher time frame. This is a strong supply area, but I like this V-shaped recovery here on Qs. If Qs can get back over the previous day high, we can go. We're pretty extended, so I would like a nice displacement candle, then a retest. You can see all our green candles, so we're very extended here. See, I like the market's pulling back and NVIDIA's holding. That looks good. Yeah, see, Apple is, eh. We could just reject this, right? It is a strong resistance level. This thing's got clear shots towards all-time high, so if this sets up. Yeah, Palantir held the bottom of the range, 132 perfectly. We were able to skip that. Like I taught you guys how to play reversals. If you see a double top or a double bottom on the intraday, you can definitely take that reversal. So you can see we've actually had a triple bottom here. Held, held, held. So very strong hold, 132. You didn't get that range break. See here, broke about 25 cents. Remember, the body of the candle is what's important on the displacement. Hopefully I'm not moving too fast for you guys. Yeah, 270 calls. That's what I'm looking at. If you want to be conservative, you can play the 29th expiration. Contracts will still move pretty decently. That's only 2 days away. Same strike. Let's see though. We could just reject the top of the range. It is a resistance level for a reason. Apple's having a tough time, but I think Apple did just make new all-time highs. Yeah, it did. It did. Yeah, this is a solid range break on Amazon if we can get this. Oof, oof, yeah. Let's see. We'll see. We're pretty extended. 265 to yeah, for Amazon, that's low key a big move. And it's kind of annoying. It did the same thing Apple did. You get these strong momentum candles into this key level and then it stalls. That should show you though, right? This is how you read these things. That should show you how strong sellers are sitting here. That should show you how strong this key level is. Right? Look at the volume in these candles. 98,000, right? 200,000. And then as soon as we push up, look at that. Sellers say, nope, not today. Like I said, I'm not a reversal trader. Know your identity. I don't care for the pop and fade. I care for the range break. That's what I want to see. And when you look at Amazon anyway, is this really a name you want to short? Right? I drew this up on the weekly outlook. You got this bull flag setting up. This range break, I mean, this looks good. Zoom out here, look at that. This looks really, this is like an A plus shot. This is an A plus shot. This looks really good. You got a clear shot towards all-time highs if this can set up. That's 4 days in a row. We've pushed up in the 270s or sellers are just sitting here. One, two, yeah, 4 days in a row. That's wild. It's a strong level right here. It's a big wick off of that. Look at that. We've just been sitting in this channel. It's a very strong level though. Good way to avoid a fake out here on Apple, right? Supply area sitting up here. Had a little bit of a peak and fell. We broke about 55 cents, made new all-time highs, and then seller stepped in. So big lesson here today, just how to avoid the fake outs. I think that's a skill within itself. Okay, so I think we ended up drawing this out pretty well. I said, okay, we're getting a V-shaped recovery here on Qs, but it could just be the retest. And so far, I think that's what it is. That's what it looks like. Right? We held this as support, got the break, seller stepped in, and now you're getting that push lower. So you look up here, bears are still in control on the overall market. Once again, seller stepping in at our key level. We broke about 25 cents. But look at the body of the candle. Barely. All four of them barely closed right above. Yeah, it sucks. These names are trying. I mean, you can see the market's definitely bearish, and Amazon is trending to the upside. Same thing on Apple. Apple's a little different. Like it's already has such a large move. Or we basically covered all of yesterday's range. We went from 208.30 up to 312.55. So this is a very large move on Apple. It went being flat all of after hours pre-market and just exploded. So hmm. And for those who would want to take a reversal trade off higher time frame resistance area, I will wait for another pullback into this, and then now you have an intraday double top. That's a strong indication, and then your risk would be roughly right above the high there. You can pull back, the better. Yeah, Apple's just it's pretty extended. It looked really good. The setup definitely looked really, really good. But like on a zero, you can't mess with that. Maybe on a reclaim entry, this would have paid fairly well, but we're pretty extended here. Like this sideways, I don't. This is not the price action I want. I see these candles at open. This candle leading up into it. Those are the candles I want to see. So reclaim entry set up fairly well. Still heavy up here. Like I said, we're just pretty extended. We opened around 308. Now we're at 312. All right, this is Apple, not Tesla. Yeah, yeah, you can see this double top here on Amazon. Oh, this is pretty. Hmm. You know things are slow when my main watches right now are Amazon and Apple. Okay, let's see. Amazon. I'm still looking at the 270 calls on Amazon. 270 calls. Like I said, you can definitely play Friday's expiration if you want to be a little bit more conservative. 270 calls here. Let's see if we hold, or is this an intraday double top? Everything's kind of pulling back right now. Yeah. So the price action, right, that helps you determine the if it's worth the risk or not. To me, it's just if I'm looking at a zero, I need momentum. I have to enter this trade on a momentum candle. I can't afford to sit in a chop and sideways action. So fairly extended. You can see Apple, it's trying, right? It definitely gave you a reclaim entry. You got to push up into 77. So if you took that on a zero, that would have paid fairly well. But Amazon's consolidating a little bit over. Both of these names had very strong opens. So a little exhausted here. I wouldn't mind a little bit more of a displacement candle um, on Amazon. This would be another solid retest here on Apple, but it's just slower momentum. Like I said, I'm looking at a zero. Yeah, so it's just not even worth the risk. And then Qs is what makes it tough. But if Qs was sitting above the previous day high, very different. But when Qs have these sharp pullbacks, you can see they follow. Like if no one wanted to play reversal, it would be here. I would go short here and risk right above that high day. That's a big risk to reward if that plays out. So good skip on Apple. Good way to read everything. It's just a low probability day. Overall market has not made it easy for us the last 2 weeks. We just had what 2, 3 days in a row where we just had very large gap ups in the market. So it's like when we open, either we're already so extended, or there may be some other names that have a higher time frame setup, but the overall market is pulling back to fill the gap, which messes up those setups. So it's just all those things. Yeah, it's getting heavy on Apple. Amazon definitely not worth the risk for me to go long. Yeah, good skip on Amazon, good skip on Apple. Like I said, if you wanted the reversal trade, I taught you guys how to do this. Look for that intraday double top or bottom. So you got this double top up here on Apple. Like I said, know your identity. I'm not a reversal trader, but like your best, you have to think of terms of like your risk to reward, your RR. If I wanted to short Amazon and I see the market's pulling back and this is a very strong supply area on the higher time frame, I would take my short here and my stop would just be right above the high day. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not your job to be correct or incorrect. But if that plays out, your risk to reward is phenomenal. You basically caught the top. Market's heavy too, so I like the context of the overall market if I wanted to do that. All right, keep in mind, like you would be going short at a supply area, so it's not a random spot in the market, right? Look at that. Stop loss right above here. So see how we're able to identify that? This is an intraday double top. That's showing me, yeah, sellers are in control. That's solid. Look at Apple, Amazon. So key levels did their job today. Another day. Yeah, very easy to identify these. It's the double tops, double bottoms. I used to trade reversals a lot in college. I was actually profitable with it too. But then I just started thinking from a logical standpoint. I was like, long term, I feel like I'm building a bad habit because if the market's moving higher, now I'm that trader that's like looking for to short the tops, right? Like if the market's moving higher, why am I looking for shorts? But it was, I mean, I had a whole system, right? I knew how to read level two times and sales book map to see aggressive sellers step in. I would wait for the double tops, the double bottoms. That was like also a good confirmation. They're great, like they're great risk to rewards, right? Every system is profitable. That's what people don't understand. Every single system out there, every single strategy is profitable. We are the ones that mess it up, right? If you break your rules, you bend your rules. Every single system is profitable. It's not the system. It's us. It's you. Of course, some systems may have a higher win percentage than others, but every single system is profitable if you execute it correctly. I'm probably gonna call this here in a sec. It's been a slow week. That's a good thing, right? If it's been slow, that's good. The only, kid you not, the only thing that's set up so far this week, I mean, it's only been 2 days. was yesterday on NVIDIA. This is the only thing off the close watch list, which was pop and fade off of 218. Right, ended up getting it here. We were chopping here a little bit. Market wasn't looking too hot, but you can see ended up getting that pop and fade off of 218. And now look at us today, sitting at around 209. That was the only higher time frame objective so far that played out perfectly. And that did give us a shot. Other than that, and that was easy, right? That was just this channel turning into resistance consolidation, next leg lower. So it was fairly simple there. Not the cleanest price action, but so be it. So key level, down to key level. So I kind of didn't expect too much on Amazon. I'm sorry, on NVIDIA today. I'm actually happy the market's pulling back. We can eat this pullback. You guys don't even know. Like, look at this. We're so, even if we pull back here, market's just so strong. I mean, look at this trend. This is the A plus shot, right? Unfortunately, we ended up gapping up on Friday. So we have to make a new key level. Then we ended up gapping up yesterday. And then we gapped up again today. Obviously, we filled that gap. So this is where we want to be long. This is the higher time frame setup. QQQ. Pull back long, 722. That's the money shot. That's the dip. So if you were to wait around for that, like I wouldn't take this on a zero. I definitely wouldn't take that on a zero. Yeah, today was a good day. Valuable lessons today. Valuable lessons. Right. And once you look at everything for so long, you come into the day and pre-market, you kind of just know like, yeah, nothing really looks too hot. Nothing really looks too good. Right. For me, I ended up specifying, yeah, coming into today, there isn't much that I see or like. Main focus will be Tesla. Tesla ended up being trash. That's pretty much all she wrote. It's pretty much all she wrote. I think most traders forget like there's always tomorrow. Like every single day, the market gives you an opportunity. Every single day, there's always tomorrow. So I hope that definitely makes sense. Early in my career, like where I really started to take off was once I had a long-term mindset. Like I know I always say that, but it's so true. Like I used to be so fixated on I have to win today. I have to end the day green. And that's not how trading works. Right? It doesn't work like that. If you focus on your RR, making sure your winners are bigger than your losers, and you understand that it's all probabilities, not certainties, right? You set yourself up for success. So then I started to focus on, okay, what's my performance looking like at the end of the week? And then at the end of the month, and then at the end of the quarter. I started to focus on those things, and it takes a lot of weight off your shoulders because you understand, right? It's if you're judging your performance based off a single day, it's going to be very hard to have like longevity. Very, very hard. Right. And we've been there, right? We've had weeks where, we went 1 for 3, 1 for 4, and still ended the week green because we had beautiful risk management and our one win wiped out all our losers and put us green. So that's why I always say you can't judge your performance based off P&L. It doesn't make any sense. It's all a random outcome. Right. If I'm talking to someone who doesn't understand trading, they're like, hey, Kel, how was your trading this week? And I said, oh, I went 1 for 3. They're going to think, oh, man, that was trash. But no, this one winner, right, was maybe a 6R trade, right? 6R trade, and it wiped out all my losses. So I actually ended up right ending the week very green. If you focus on those things, you only need like a 30 to 40, like 30 to 40%, win rate. And then like I specified, if you're taking trades at higher time frame key levels only, you're gonna have a higher win percentage, even if you don't know what you're doing, because you're not taking trades at random spots in the market. Now, how do you um increase that win percentage? Well, now that's where the skill comes in of knowing when to take the trade, when to skip the trade, knowing how to read relative strength compared to the market. Is there divergence? Is the market pulling back? Is this name extended? That's how you right filter out those bad trades and understand, hey, on a technical analysis standpoint, I got my setup, but I ended up skipping the trade. Today's a great example, right? On Apple, on Palantir, on Amazon, even on SPY and Qs, I said, hey, I don't care to take trades off these previous day highs. They're not high time frame key levels. If I take that, that means I take more trades, which filters, which dilutes my win percentage because these are not high probability setups. So hope all those things make sense. I do my best to like simplify it. And right now, market, like for honestly, for traders who got into trading this year, if they can like survive this, they'll be fine. Like this is for a beginner trader, like this is not an easy year. Because I remember when I first started, I was so confused when like we would come into the day and we had all these big gap ups, and I would still look for a trade, but I'm not understanding we're so extended that by us having that large gap up, it's already a low probability day. We've already had the big move, right? And then the market's sitting at all-time highs, so that makes it a little tricky. A lot of these names are, sitting in a range as well, so that makes it tricky. And then, as I always say, and I'm speaking from experience, right, one of the hardest things for beginner traders to do is show up and do nothing. So I know if I come in and I've already had like 4 cash days, I'll be itching to take a trade. But so, this year, and we know what the first quarter was. The first quarter, I mean, we were consolidating from November all the way up to basically we had that ceasefire. And then that's when the market really took off. So the first quarter was really tough, was really slow. This quarter so far is pretty good. But like the last 2 weeks, right, this week and last week, you can see fairly slow, big gap ups, SPY and Qs was in a range. Now we're sitting at all-time highs. Apple sitting at all-time highs. AMD, right? Not really able to trade that. It's still sitting at all-time highs. If or when Amazon holds above 270, now that's back at all-time highs. So it's just definitely trickier, 100%. There's no doubt about it. So just understand the conditions. But if a beginner trader can survive this and understand, you'll be a-okay. Which is like fairly insane. Like we can go through before we close up shop here. Let's just go on the 1 hour, right? Like look at SPY sitting in this range. I'm still looking for this pullback long off of 744 to turn that into support, but there's no trade up here, right? We're just using the previous day high and lows for context, but it's sitting at all-time highs, right? It's still making all-time highs. Qs, same thing. We need to pull back long off of 722, but even leading up to this, Qs was consolidating. Then you got the breakout. Tesla, right? Tesla hasn't been too hot. Um, Not the best price action on the intraday. I know for some people the win percentage has actually been a little bit lower here on Tesla. So Tesla's been a little tricky, right? Pretty unfortunate. Like our thesis played out. What was the game plan today? Pull back long off of 435. That was the game plan coming into today. That was the main focus. But skip the trade. I don't like the price action. Q's was not looking good as well. So just not worth the risk for me. But you can see thesis ended up playing out. But look at the price action on it. So, right, really hasn't been too much on Tesla. You can see not that many key levels here as well. And then when we do get a reaction at our key level, just hasn't been the cleanest price action. So that's Tesla, Nvidia, right? Even Nvidia, like I said, I'll give this some grace. Last week I had earnings, but this is what Nvidia did. Right? We just sat in a channel, had a nice run, all-time highs, sat in a channel, and now we're pulling back. But that's sat in a channel for a week. So just understanding AMD, just crazy run. No more higher time frame key levels. Still just making all-time high. So Apple, same thing here. Right? We're in a channel. We didn't do anything for what 4 or 5 days, and then now today, right? Finally getting it. But what is it doing? Making all-time highs. So now the only key level would just be 312 and seeing if we can turn that into support in the next 2 days. Amazon just been stuck in a range. We went over that. Microsoft, Palantir, right? Nothing on Palantir, just stuck in a range holding. So just got to understand these things. Like this is what SPY is doing, right? We ended up gapping up. All right, we did fill the gap, came back down to the previous day close, and now we're just chopping on the 15 minute. And it's an inside bar day. That's not a high probability day. What would have been nice on SPY? This, right? Just hold the previous day high and then continuation higher. Right, same thing here on Qs. What are we starting to do? Look at the price action yesterday compared to today. That's a great example. Right, look how beautiful that was to the upside, even to the downside, and then back up. And then look at today. You got your inside bar day. We did fill the gap. So just not much. Just got to understand that. I know it gets frustrating. You come in, it's like, damn, another cash day, but protect your capital. Protect it. Patient pays. If I can get this, this would be a beautiful swing trade over the weekend if this can set up. So let's see here. But definitely gonna call it here. We just went through everything. Yeah, really not much. Yeah, like that. If this tells me, like I did my job. Very strong key level. Look at that. Look how strong that is. Look at that push. Pull back long 435 pre-market plan. But skipped it. But why? Now, what is Q's doing? Like I said, if the market can find an intraday support level and bounce, then we can look for it. But it was just pulling back with Q's. And now look at Q's just pushing back to the upside. Look at that. I don't get FOMO, but look at that. Funny enough, it's like the cleanest price action we've got so far on Tesla. Open was trash. Pull back all the way down was trash. And then you got that. But key level did the job. Let's see, 435.52. Yeah, it's close enough. 50 cents. Just not worth the risk for me. So I'm still waiting for this 454. Right? All you gotta do is make the correlation. That's not Tesla doing that on its own. Okay, it's the market found intraday support, and you can see market bounce and rip in as well. If there's relative strength on Tesla, different story. Now I'm looking to take that trade. But if it's just in sync with the market, don't really care. QQQ pulling back right now. Tesla pulling back right now. See what I mean? So it's just not worth the risk for me, especially with the market being bearish on the intraday, but solid. Like that's textbook. Resistance, old resistance turned into new support. It's literally it. But this is a great example on what I just said on what makes it difficult. I get it for beginner traders or tricky is when we gap up pre-market. I hate when we do that on the overall market because you'll have these higher time frame setups like here on Tesla. But then when the market's pulling back, I'm thinking two things. One, okay, the market's very bullish, but it's just filling the gap, or the bears are in control. You won't know until you know. Today, bears were in control. It did pull back to fill the gap. So when the market's pulling back that heavy and the names are following, I'm not seeing any divergence. I'm not seeing if Tesla's stronger than the market because why? It's pulling back with the market. So that makes this pullback long harder because the market is just doing that and Tesla's doing it with it. So if I see buyers step up here on Tesla, I don't really like it because it's just been pulling back the entire time with the overall market. So this is a great example of like, don't ever think in hindsight. It's easy to don't fall for that trap. Q's found support, so did Tesla, but very solid here. I mean, this is, if you play with zeros, that's a 100% trade. Especially on the 1 minute, you had, yeah, maybe 3 minutes of a slight pullback. That's definitely a 100% trade. Almost a $10 move. Right, like NVIDIA, trash. Like, look at that, just trash. Garbage. Like this, see now, this is displacement. Like this was a proper displacement. You never got the retest, so you wouldn't have got faked out. Could have entered on this reclaim. That would have paid very well on a zero. But see how clean this is? That's beautiful. Now you want something like this, targeting that swing high. Turn that into support. That's a dot. So hopefully I was able to get some valuable lessons here. Funny enough, yeah, Tesla was the only one. I said said Tesla's gonna be my main focus. It's the only one. Yeah. Like with the market just being in a downtrend, it's just not worth it. Wish I got it though. Good stuff today. I'll definitely upload. I will upload today's session in the Discord. I feel like there's a lot of valuable lessons in here. A lot of valuable lessons just to rewatch. But again, I ended up getting a dollar breakout, dollar and 21 cent breakout on Apple. This was a good skip here on Amazon. Right, we're playing zeros. We can't afford to sit in that. So good skip, fairly extended. We'll see how the day closes. So I'm gonna call it here. Good stuff today. Another day, patient pays. We'll see what sets up tomorrow. That's just kind of been the story. Like Tesla looked really good. This is like my favorite one coming into open. There's either pullback long over this or break and retest over 454. But ignore all this. Just look at the price action leading up into it. And you're playing on zeros. You got to be a little aggressive there. Yeah, it's a solid day. Definitely gonna call it here. I will see you guys. Yeah, I'll put out the pre-market plan for tomorrow. Uh, I put in the announcements. I have a flight, so I won't be here Friday. Um, but tomorrow will be all good. I'll have a pre-market plan for you going into Friday, and then we'll be all good for next week as well. So don't worry about that. I would recommend going over the lesson video or PDF that I put out this past weekend. Very informative. Other than that, I will see you guys on the next one.